All right, so we're live. Let me get my camera angle where I want it. My fancy dancy lights on. That is... All right, I think that's good. All right. Will do. Lots of planes today, and I noticed the feed's a little jerky on YouTube. Is that coming through to you over there? And we're live on Facebook. All right. I should really have marks on the ground and make sure if this is all good again. Let me just a little bit. It's very noisy here this morning, so I'm going to apologize in advance for that. All right. Good. How is everybody? Who's here? Who's here? I'm Amy. I don't know who's on YouTube because I can't tell. It doesn't tell me that. But if you can say hi, say hi. We've got just a couple more minutes yet, so I'm going to fool around a little bit. Morning, Cheryl. Good morning. Good morning. All right, Sandy. Sandy, good morning. All right. All right, so I think I've got my stuff together. Maybe. Stuff in a nice way, saying that. All right, so that there. All right, well, whatever. Trying to make sure there's enough light and things are getting in the picture that I don't want there. Anyway, so yeah, okay, fine. So today my thought process is to practice with my dogs. No, is to just get a nice little overall stretch, a little bit of this, a little bit of that. You can go deeper in poses if you want to, certainly, of course, as always. I'm going to fight over the good spot on the chair over there. One thing I did want to kind of bring up just briefly, because I'm always learning and adjusting and hopefully sharing that information with you. If I'm not sharing what I'm learning, I'm missing something, right, as a teacher. But I've been watching and taking courses more about philosophy and the roots of yoga, essentially. And while a lot of these things are things I knew, I wasn't really necessarily putting it all together just in general, right? Not necessarily on the mat. But the first thing I just want to talk about, and if you've seen my blog or you've seen my post, you may have kind of gotten an idea of what's going on, is that the word namaste is actually a greeting. And it literally translates to bow to you, right? So it would be something you would say to an elder or to a teacher. And I never really thought about, well, why did we say at the end of yoga class then? But we do, and I probably still will, because I feel as if it's honoring. Whether you're my teacher necessarily, and I think my students are my teachers in a lot of occasions. But it is just a nice way to close class and bring us all together. Because if you've seen other posts, and a lot of you commented on my post, that I honor the light within you. Right? That is another interpretation of it, or a broader meaning of it, and what we do here in yoga. So I think I still will close with it, because it is honoring. We've brought ourselves into this place that brings us truly together. So I think I still will use it, but I do want you to encourage you to look at other aspects of that. And I'm going to talk more about philosophy in my blogs, on my website. So check out anydayyoga.com if you don't normally. I'll try and share them on my Facebook page as well, just so you know. And then there is the philosophy workshop that's also on anydayyoga.com. So if you go into workshop descriptions, it's there. So if you are ready to learn a little bit more, or just some, if you're just curious about things, certainly pick up a book, send me a comment, and maybe I'll blog about that particular thing that you're interested in, and we'll all learn together. Right? And a lot of this is what you chew over in your head, right? So those who came before us, right, have brought in these philosophies, but it also is what's going on inside of you. How does this apply to you in your practice, right? So that's what we're doing here. Let's see what we got going on. If Barbara's here, or if Barbara maybe watches later, it's Barbara's birthday. So happy birthday, Barb. I didn't mean to ignore anybody else. Hi, Diane. All right, good morning. So let's get going here. I'll stop talking. If the dogs get rowdy, I'll just not really, just out up here. So align the heels to the groin, of course. Take your inner thigh rotation. Sitting upright on the pelvis, engage your belly. So lifting that pelvic floor, lower belly in and up, sitting tall. Relaxing shoulders and hips, closing your eyes. Drawing the awareness inward. Finding your natural breath. Breathing all through the nose, begin to expand into each breath. Eventually coming to that place that is just beyond comfortable. Remembering to stay connected to that place. Let's go ahead and extend the arms out to the sides. With an inhale, stretch them up toward the ceiling. And then exhaling, bring them back down again. Let's do it again. One more time like that. And then back to the top, inhale. Exhaling just the right hand back to the mat. Give yourself a little tip to that side, keeping the pelvis rooted. Lengthen through your spine, take a nice big breath. And then inhaling, come on back up to center. Switching over to the left side, same idea. Come on back up to the middle. Let's go over to the right again one more time. Find a little bit of Deeper stretch maybe. And then back to center. Taking it left. Inhaling, come back to the middle. And then exhale and release. Let's bring the left hand to the right knee, right hand behind the back. Little baby twist over to the right. Nice easy twist. Make sure your spine is tall. We'll release that, coming back to the center, taking the second side. Let's come back to the middle again and go back to that first side, working a little bit deeper with this one. So press into the right hand, pull against the knee, rotate around again a little bit deeper. Try to keep the spine tall and the shoulders and hips relaxed. See if you can move just a little bit deeper into those tighter spots. Let's release that. Come on back through the middle, over to the second side. Sitting tall. And then releasing to come back to center again. From here, we'll work our way around onto hands and knees. So take your time getting there. Wrists under shoulders, knees under hips, belly still engaged. Cushion your knees or hands if you feel like you need that. And then just some cat-cows to begin. So inhaling the belly toward the floor. And exhaling as you round the spine to the ceiling. Follow your breath in and out like that. And gently work up and down the spine. Take one more flow like that, in and out. Coming back to center. From your all fours, make your way into down dog. So however you feel like getting there, if you want to move through a plank, feel free to do that. Wiggling, stretching on your way. And then allowing yourself to settle in. Stretching through the heels, pressing through the chest back toward the thighs here. Instead of stretching the heels toward the floor, come up on your toes. Keep the chest pressing back here though. We're going to take the heels over to the left. Leave the right hand on the floor. Keep the hips nice and high and feel that nice stretch up the right side of the body. Let's release that, coming back to center. Do the same thing to the second side. So heels over to the right. And then back to the middle again. Pressing the heels toward the floor, whether they touch the floor or not. Feel that nice stretch in your calves. From here, lift the right leg. Keep everything else like you have it so the hips stay square. Pressing through both heels now. Can you feel a little bit deeper sensation? Let's open the hip. Take the toes a little higher, and then bend at the knee, pointing it up. Watch that the shoulders stay stable, your chest stays pressing back. And then release it. We'll switch sides, lifting the left leg. Extend through the heels first. Feel that nice extra stretch. And then opening at the hip. Bending at the knee if you like. Releasing that, come on back to center again. Let's shift forward, come to a plank. Absolutely drop down to the knees if you prefer. Bend the elbows tight to the sides as you drop to the belly. Hands next to the side ribs here, just a nice easy little roll into your shoulders, tiny little baby cobra. And then releasing that, keep the elbows in, up and back for your down dog. Let's go ahead and walk the feet to the hands, come to a standing fold. And we'll take just a moment here, working a little deeper into our hamstrings. So maybe just kind of walking in place a little bit. Go ahead and bend into your knees and bring your belly to touch your thighs. So we want the knees in line with the ankles and the hips. Try not to squeeze them together. We're going to take the arms behind the legs here. Wrap around and hug in. So really squeeze your belly. Okay? And then see about taking the legs straighter. Maybe they go straight, maybe they don't. Straighter. Gently releasing that. You can keep that little bend in your knees if you like here. We're going to take the fingers to interlace behind the lower back. Draw the shoulder blades toward each other and then stretch the knuckles away. So maybe up off your lower back or not. Hands away from shoulders. Feel the shoulders draw away from the ears. We'll release the hands. You can slide your hands up to your thighs for a little bit of support or take them to your hips. With an inhale, come halfway up and pause here in the middle. Belly is working. Again, support on the legs if you feel like you need that little bit of extra. And then inhale and hinge all the way up. So go ahead and release your arms. Find your feet up underneath your hip bones here, grounding into the four corners. With an inhale, we're going to stretch the arms toward the ceiling. And then exhale, take yourself over into a fold. Inhaling, come halfway up. Exhaling, let's go ahead and step it back into plank. Knees, if you'd like, down to the belly. And then again here, rolling into the shoulders, maybe a little bit of a pull, lengthening your spine, and then releasing up and back, down dog. Trying to have everything lift up off the floor together. Inhaling as we step forward, fold. Take your time getting your toes to your fingers. Next inhale, halfway up. Exhale over. And then come all the way up. And release. So again, just like that, keeping it simple, lifting up, inhaling, taking it into fold on your exhale. Coming halfway up. Stepping back to plank. That same exhale, maybe all the way down to the belly. Rolling, pulling, you can press into your hands for a little bit deeper sensation in cobra. Up and back, down dog. And then inhaling, step forward, fold. Halfway up, back over. Reach for the ceiling. Exhale, release. So we'll add on with this next one. Listen to your body. Still take the modified poses if that's where you want to be this morning, right? So with an inhale, let's tuck the tailbone, pull the shoulder blades together on the back, and reach behind just a little bit. Exhale, take yourself into fold. Inhale, come halfway up. Exhaling, back to your plank again. Down to the belly. Inhales, you roll, pull, press your way into your cobra. Keep the elbows in, up and back, down dog. With the inhale, step your right foot forward to lunge. Toes all the way to the fingers. You can drop the back knee if you want, or the back heel. Inhale to lift up. And then exhale back down again, down dog. Slide forward, plank. Take it down to the belly. Inhale into your cobra. Back to down dog. Left foot stepping forward. Heel or knee to the mat, lifting when you're ready on the inhale. Take it back down again. Back to your down dog. Into plank. And down. Roll cobra. Back to your down dog. So then you can hold this down dog or you can drop into child's pose. Listen to what your body needs right at this moment. Big full breaths. Take one more breath where you are. And if you drop down, lift back to down dog. From there, with the inhale, step the feet forward, coming back to your standing fold. Halfway up, inhale. Exhale back over. And then all the way up, tuck the tailbone, pull the shoulder blades together, reaching back. And then exhaling to release it. So we're done with those. From here, take a short step back, stay with the right foot. And we want the feet just wider than the shoulders. So nothing super crazy, just enough. For now, the feet are going to be parallel to each other. So the toes are pointing forward. And we want to be nice and even on the feet. From here, the lower body is going to stay doing exactly what it's doing. So the hips are square to the long edge of your mat. Let's take the fingers and interlace again. Draw your shoulder blades toward each other. Stretch the knuckles for the floor so the chest opens. And rotate your belly button around toward your left leg. Right? The hips are going to want to shift and do all kinds of crazy stuff. Keep them centered. And then think nose to the seam of your pants or shorts or whatever you're wearing. So the right shoulder is trying to come around, but not the right hip. Take another big breath. With the inhale, coming back up. Release your fingers, kind of roll your shoulders around maybe a little bit. And then let's go second side. Same idea, fingers interlacing. You can put the other thumb on top maybe if you want that. Shoulders draw toward each other, knuckles reach away. And we rotate the belly toward the outside of the right leg, folding that direction. So it's not a very deep fold. We want to encourage the left shoulder to come around, but keep the left hip back. Folding more over the side of the leg than the front. Let's gently inhale, make your way back up to the top, release your fingers. And then changing up the feet and the arms here. So turn your right toes toward the top of the mat as much as you can, and then flip your left toes around as well. If it's too narrow, like you're standing on a balance beam, make it more like railroad tracks. Not super wide. You want to try and stay in alignment with your hips here. So you have the option of simply interlacing your fingers like we did. Maybe grab opposite elbow. And let's hinge forward again. So coming over the front of this left leg here, and ideally the leg is straight. Don't worry about how deep the fold is. Feel even on the four corners of your feet. We'll take another big breath. With an inhale, hinging back up again. Release the arms. Rotate back to center. And then we'll do the same thing on the second side. So go ahead and turn your left toes toward the back of your mat and then flip your right foot around. So again, you're either more on a balance beam or more on those narrow railroad tracks. And again, here you decide where you want your hands. So simply interlace, grabbing opposite elbow. If you want to go deeper and go into maybe a prayer position back there, you're welcome to do that. We want to keep the shoulders back and the chest open. That's the idea either way. And then fold over the right leg. So take your time. One more big breath. Gently inhaling to bring yourself back up. Release the hands, straddle out your feet again, and step back to the top of the mat. All right, so taking a standing balance here, we're going to play with dancer. Lots of options. If you need to be near a wall or something so that you don't fall down, certainly find that place. We're going to take all the weight over into the left foot, bend the right knee back, and then the right hand finds the foot. So sometimes you can bring that knee forward to find the foot if that makes it more accessible, however it happens. But when you find it and you've got your balance, really square up your hips again. So pointing that knee at the floor. The shoulders are going to stay square. The belly's working like crazy here. You can add on by pressing the foot into the hand and opening up the shoulder a little bit. Maybe extending the left arm toward the ceiling. You can stay more upright or you can begin to hinge forward a little bit. So if the upper body comes forward, be sure to raise the leg back. You don't want to collapse in the middle. You want to be nice and open. Take another big breath. And then gently hinge it back to center, releasing the hand and the foot. And we'll work to the second side. So take your time and make the adjustments. And sometimes one side is this way and the other side is not so much. Right? So do what you need to do all the way to the right, finding your left foot. Being stable here, squared. Adding, pressing the foot into the hand, lifting the right hand, maybe hinging forward on this side. So again here, just taking your time and playing with the pose. What fits your body today? One more big breath. Inhaling as we hinge back up. And then releasing it all. All right. So from here, let's stretch the arms up. And bring yourself over into fold again. We'll step the feet back and come into our down dog again. And normally when you drop down, You drop your knees to the floor and then make your way to child's pose, right? But instead of taking the knees first, we're going to take the forearms first. So here, middle finger points forward, elbow creases are rotated in, right? They face each other there. Keeping the hands where they are, see if you can rotate your elbow creases forward a little bit, and then bend your elbows and drop your forearms to the floor, ideally together. Maybe not. Then drop the knees and sit back in child's pose. And mostly that's an exercise for your brain, right? Your brain wants to drop your knees. Or if your brain can wrap around dropping your elbows, it's always one first, right? See as much as you can if you can bring them down together. So we're going to take that idea and we're going to reverse it. So come on up to your forearms and knees. Press down evenly into your hands. We'll lift the knees away from the floor. And now as evenly as you can, lift your elbows up back to down dog. And just like before, one elbow or one arm really wanted to do all of the work. So as evenly as you can, drop your forearms. And then go ahead and drop down to the knees, sit back in your child's pose again, and just kind of let your brain absorb that. So let's come out forearms and knees. We're going to work a little bit more with dolphin here. So bringing the elbows up underneath the shoulders. And then taking the arms out either into Sphinx or interlaced out front. You decide, you can change your mind. You can start one way and move to another, whatever you need to do here. Press down into the floor and imagine pulling your elbows toward each other up underneath so you feel your belly kick in. You can stay down on your knees if you prefer. We're going to bring the chin to the thumbs and then press back. So super simple and easy like that, forward and back. Or, if this is too easy, you lift the knees up off the floor and do the same thing. Make sure your belly's pulled in. Try not to let the elbows get wide. That puts undue pressure on the shoulders, and we don't need that. Keeping the head away from the floor, let's go once more. Dropping down and sitting back in your child's pose again. So we've got one more variation to play with that dolphin position. And you can be down on your knees, you can work forward and back, you can be up off your knees, working forward and back. You can hold, right, with the chest pressing back and the heels pressing toward the floor like your down dog, only on forearms, right? Or, and it's an or, not an add, right? A little bit different, coming up onto the forearms and knees, of course. Making sure your elbows are up underneath your shoulders. Again, we don't want to stress out our shoulders. We want to make them strong, not stress them out. And then the hands either out in Sphinx or your interlaced fingers. You can start in one and adjust to the other, of course. So this time, this variation here, we lift the knees away from the floor, press the chest back so the upper body stays put, but the lower body maybe walks the toes a little closer to the elbows and then back again. So in and out with the lower body instead of the upper body. And as the toes walk in, you'll feel the hips kind of come more over your shoulders, right? So in your brain anyway, right? Imagine your hips over your shoulders, over your forearms, elbows mostly, right? Take a couple, whatever variation you're feeling at the moment. And then come down and rest again. So we're coming up onto the forearms and knees one last time. Bringing the elbows up under the shoulders, the hands this time out in the Sphinx, right? So hands are shoulder width apart too, four corners of the hands into the floor. If you interlace your fingers, it just ends up weird. So press down into the forearms, lift the knees away from the floor. Press down evenly into your hands, lift your elbows, back to down dog. From down dog here, we'll step the left foot forward and come to lunge. And then you always have options, right? There's always options. We're gonna drop the back heel, and that hip is gonna open a little bit. So we don't want the hip shifting crazy over to the left. We wanna keep them tucked up under in alignment. So you do what you need to do with this left hand. Maybe the outside of the foot, maybe the inside of the foot, maybe up on the thigh even, or up on a block. The right arm is gonna sweep to the ceiling. So you adjust the left hand to where your body needs it to be adjusted, right? If it makes you stick your bum out to touch the floor, then maybe don't touch the floor. Take another big breath here. We'll release it, step back to down dog. And then switch sides. So bring the right foot forward. Work your toes to the fingers, adjusting however you need to here, of course. Drop the back heel. Right hand to the outside, inside, propped, not propped, up on the thigh, whatever you gotta do so we can sweep the left arm up. Descend into the hips. Keep them tucked up underneath, so not leaning over to one side or the other. And then we're going to release that and step back to our down dog again. So again here then, step the left foot forward. And we're going to drop down to the right knee. Let's go ahead and take the left leg straight. So finding a stretch here, shoulders draw back, lifting the chest, propping if you need to prop up. Bend into the knee and let the hips come low. Lifting the chest away from the thigh increases the stretch. And we want to keep the hips really square. So if you feel like you're kind of leaning off to one side or the other, find the middle. So if that's a really intense stretch, you're going to stay where you are. Otherwise, lift the back knee and then roll forward over your right toes to then bring the knee in. And the knee will just be a little bit closer to that left heel. That's the idea. So it boosts up the intensity of the stretch. Keep pressing your left heel into the floor and sweeping your legs toward each other. You can stay down, fingertips on the floor, or you can lift up. And the more you lift the chest away from the thigh, the bigger the sensation. So finding enough. Continue to press the hands into the thigh to keep the chest lifting, or use the arms as a little bit of body weight. Arms in line with the ears. Hips are sinking and the chest is lifting. We're going to take one more breath and then gently release that. So roll back over the toes if you did come forward, and then step back to down dog again. So right leg forward, right foot forward. Go ahead and just simply drop the back knee. Keep it simple to begin. Take the right leg straight. And then bend. Let the hips descend with the hips as square to the top of the mat as you can manage. Again here, if that's enough, that's where you're going to stay. Otherwise, lift the back knee, roll forward over the left toes, and bring that knee a little closer. So sinking the right heel, sinking into the hips, leaving the upper body down or lifting. And you lift wherever the lift is, wherever the stretch is on this side. So again, continuing to press the hands into the thigh will press the chest back, or you use the arms. So wherever you are, we're sinking the hips and we're lifting the chest. Tons of space through the spine. Nice big stretch in the right calf and the left hip flexor and quad. Gently release what you got here. Make your way back to your down dog again. So let's shift forward, come to plank, and drop on down to the knees. Keeping the spine long here, the hips in line with the shoulders and knees. We're going to take, we'll start with this side so you can see, take the right foot over to the right side of your mat and open the body to the left. So right hand, right knee, left foot is at the back of the mat. Your left side of the body anyway, looks as if you're standing up. Okay? Belly's in, shoulders and hips are stacked. You can add fancy stuff on here, lifting, stretching over. And then we're going to release that back to your kneeling plank. Doing the same thing on your second side. So the left foot then over to the right. Left, sorry. Opening the body to the right. And again here, stacking, stretching up or over, lifting the leg if that's you on this side. Making your way back to your kneeling plank. You can take a full plank, of course. We're going to bend the elbows and drop down to the belly. So we're going to work here on the belly for a moment. While we're here, we want to make sure that the tailbone stays turning down toward your heels to keep your lower back long. If you feel any pinching here, stop. Maybe even turn over and rest on your back. So a little bit like we did in our balance pose, go ahead and bend, your arms can be wherever for right now. Bend the right knee, and the right hand's gonna reach back for your foot. So it might be easier to sort of roll over to the side a little bit, that's fine, but then bring the pelvis back to the floor. So this may be plenty of stretch. If, of course, you wanna add on, you can always add on. So the foot kicks into the hand and draws that shoulder back. If you want to come up a little bit higher, you can use your left hand, elbow in toward the side of the body a bit, and then you can press more into your hand, almost like a cobra idea. Okay. Take another big breath, and then gently release that. So the same idea on your second side here. Bend your left knee, and then the left hand finds the foot. So then you decide where to go from here. Just make sure your tailbone's turning down, your pelvis is pressing down into the floor evenly. Okay, maybe lifting the shoulder back a little bit, maybe bringing the right elbow in and pressing into that arm. Make sure you're breathing wherever you are. And then gently release that back to the floor. So turning the toes in toward each other, just rock a little bit on your hips, shake out your back. One last time, hands next to the side ribs, work your way up and back to down dog. We'll drop down to the knees and bring the legs around front. So legs extended out nice and long. Making sure you're upright on your pelvis. Belly's still working here. Let's inhale, stretch the arms out. And then bring yourself into a fold. Take your time. Keep leading with your chest rather than your fingers or your shoulders. Just let your hands fall where they naturally fall. On an inhale, lift back up again. And release the arms. So here, let's bring the right foot flat to the floor. And you can have this foot to the inside of the leg, or you can have it to the outside, closer to your hip or down toward your ankle, whatever you gotta do here. Ideally, that foot is flat on the floor wherever it is. You can leave this left leg extended, or you can bend at the knee and bring your heel in front of the sit bone. So you don't want to sit on the heel. We want the pelvis to be upright. Even left and right and upright. You can hang on to the leg to help. From here, go ahead and wrap the left arm around the leg. And the right arm is behind your back here. Press into your right fingertip. Pull with your left arm. A little bit like we did at the very beginning, only deeper. More sensation probably. Taking one more big breath. And then gently releasing that. So let's unhook the legs. And we'll do the same thing on the second side. So again, here you decide that left foot flat to the floor on the inside or outside. Sit nice and tall. So make sure your pelvis stays upright, whether you add the right leg in or not. Hang on to the leg, wrap that right arm, and support with the left. A little bit of a press behind you, a little bit of a pull around. And then we'll gently release that. So unhook the legs, stretch them out. Bounce them around a little bit here if that feels good. Let's work with boat for another moment or so. Bring the soles of the feet together. We'll start here, this variation. Hanging onto the ankles, draw your heels to the groin, let your chest lift. And then lean back just enough to balance. Keep lifting the chest, shoulders and hips releasing toward the floor. And then instead of having the knees open, release your ankles and draw your knees together. You can leave your toes low, or you can bring your shins parallel to the floor. You can extend your legs as long as the toes are higher than your face. If they start to drift down, maybe bend the knees again. And you can hang on or let go. Bring the soles of the feet together again. And then go ahead and round through your spine and drop on down to your back. So you may need to scoot forward on your mat. I didn't cue that properly. Once you're there, allow the feet to come to the floor with the soles still together and the knees open, relaxing to the sides. Gently draw the knees back together. And then pull those knees into the chest and allow yourself to rock a little bit here. So you can massage your back against the floor, taking the knees a little closer or a little further away. And then bring the feet flat to the floor. So we want the knees bent. We want to make sure that the spine feels long and aligned here. Relax across your shoulders. Try to keep your shoulders back with your hips level and extend the right leg straight up toward the ceiling. You can use a strap here, maybe across the ball mound of your foot or behind your thigh, or you can interlace your fingers behind the thigh. Again, try and keep your shoulders back so they stay on the floor. With the exhale, see if you can draw that right leg a little closer to the belly, and then inhale and release it just a little bit. You can make bigger movements if you want, but then momentum kind of kicks in, and we don't really want that. Or the movement can be very small and subtle. As long as you're feeling a little extra stretch and a little bit of a release, that's the idea. Notice what's going on in your back as the leg comes in and out. Try and keep that as neutral as you can. Taking just a couple more like this here. And then find a center. So you got a little bit of a stretch, but nothing it's super intense, right? Extend the left arm out to the left. If you had a sandbag or something heavy, you could keep it on top of this left hip and or this left shoulder. We're going to open the leg out to the right. So support the leg in the hand and try to keep everything else exactly as it was when the leg was in the middle. You're going to feel the weight want to shift to the right. Try and stay centered. Release the weight of the leg into the hand. So the arm is doing the work of holding the leg up, not your inner hamstrings and hip here. Take one more big breath. We'll bring it back to center and release the leg. So if you got a little bit crooked and you need to straighten out, definitely do. When you're ready, extend the left leg. And we'll do it all again on this side. So you determine whether you're using a strap on the foot behind the thigh and releasing your fingers. Keeping the spine as neutral as you can as that leg comes in and out. Take your time. Find the little extra and the little release. Go once more like that, in and out as deep as it's going to get for today. Finding that center kind of place, extending the right arm to help that side of your body stay grounded to the floor. And again, maybe placing something heavy if you have that option on the right shoulder or the right hip as you take the leg to the left. So the hand can be more toward the hip, it can be more toward your ankle, whatever it takes. Staying focused on that neutral spine, hips, shoulders, And releasing the inner left hip here. One more big breath. And then gently bring it back to center. Release the left foot. So maybe you feel pretty neutral on your spine. Maybe you need to adjust again, of course. One more time, knees into the chest and rock. Let's open the arms, let the knees fall over to the right. You can adjust, you can bring the feet to the floor, shift your hips, whatever you gotta do. Just take a nice, easy little twist over to the right. The twist is actually to the left when your legs are right, but you get the idea. And then we'll bring it back through the center and over to the left. So any variation you want here. Let's bring it back up to center. If the knees aren't already into the chest, bring them back in. You can rock a little bit, kind of shake it out. And then squeeze those knees in as tight to your chest as you can. Pull your forehead toward your knees and squeeze it in here. Releasing that, take it into a full body stretch, get nice and long. Releasing your stretch, let your arms come down by your sides. Rest your shoulders, let your feet flop open. Releasing the weight of the body into the mat. If you do feel a little bit crooked, just make sure you adjust until you're aligned and comfortable. But then really let go. Turning the awareness back solely to the breath and release the breath as well. Let it do its thing. See if you can stay focused here, and if you do need to focus on the breath, maybe counting or saying inhale, exhale, a mantra. Whatever little tricks you need to use to keep the mind present. Slowly draw in a deep, cleansing breath. And then let it all go. Great big sigh. Restoring small movements to your body first. Allow yourself to wiggle and stretch. If you wanted to here, because you can, you stay longer. When you're ready, making your way up to seated. Take your time, your eyes closed. Bringing the palms to touch. Namaste. Thanks for playing with me today, you guys. I hope you enjoyed that. Leave me notes, feedback. Go see me on anydayyoga.com or email or whatever. I miss you all. I don't get to see hardly any of you anymore. So thanks for playing. Have a great weekend. It looks like it's going to be beautiful out there if you're in Florida, of course. And hopefully if you're wherever else, it's nice too. So have a good one. Bye.